Welcome everyone to the game between Magnus Carlsen and Rudik Makarian from the World Blitz Championship 2025. We are here with Magnus sitting before his opponent, a rare sight. In the background we see Fabiano Caruana speaking with the arbiter. It's 3 minutes plus 2 seconds increment. Magnus has the white pieces and we are ready to rock and roll. A handshake here and off we go. Rudik, a strong grandmaster with 2600 rating, and Magnus goes knight c3. The Jobawa London would have happened if he would have gone pawn d5, but he goes pawn e6, asking Magnus if he wants to convert it into e4 opening. And Magnus is thinking, should he do that or not? Should he play something else? There's bishop f4 still, bishop g5 also possible. And he goes pawn to e4. We have the French defense, knight d7, knight e2, c5, c3. Oh my god, look at the speed at which Rudik is playing, and a3 played. With the idea of playing b4 here to make the c5 pawn take a decision. Now, many moves in this position. Bishop e7 is one move, c5 is a5 is another move. You can also play pawn takes pawn here. But Rudik, after some thought, goes f6. And he asks Magnus, what are you doing about this pawn on e5? I'm attacking it thrice. And Magnus goes knight f4, attacking Rudik's pawn on e6. Which means that queen h5 is a threat. And you could see how Rudik just simply looked to the side and was like, did I make a mistake? Well, not really, because queen c7, queen e7 is possible, defending this pawn. And the point here to note is that if queen h5 check, g6, knight takes g6, you can play queen f7, and if the knight goes back, now cd4, and you are able to get rid of a very key pawn. So these calculations have to be done by Rudik, and he does play queen e7. That's a good job there by Rudik. He's played his queen. Magnus chops off the pawn on f6. He doesn't fall for this queen h5 business. Knight f6. Knight comes out to f3. Maybe he could have taken here with the queen and then quickly got bishop d6 out. But he takes with the knight. Knight to f3. And let's see what Makarian does. Definitely Magnus has put him under some pressure out of the opening, taking him in uncharted territories, which is making him bleed time. Queen c7. The idea is to look at the knight, but also get the bishop out to d6 and quickly castle it out. That's the plan in the position. And you can see there, Rudik trying to be very, very careful about what he does. For Magnus, well, the simple way to continue is bishop d3, castles, rook e1. But in goes Magnus. He goes knight g5. He attacks the pawn on e6. He's playing for the crowd here. e5 is an excellent move because after d takes e5, there's queen e5. Black is completely fine here. On the other hand, if you go like knight e6, I simply take queen e7, and if you pick up my bishop, I take e4 with a check. So clearly, e5 should solve all of Black's problems. But Rudik, of course, has to trust his instincts. He has to trust that he can, see things better than Magnus. But he takes on d4. And this move isn't the best because knight takes pawn, bishop takes, knight takes, attacks the queen and the pawn. But there's queen e7. Let's see. This is getting interesting. Magnus takes the pawn. Knight e6. And now Rudik must take on e6. He's down to a minute on the clock. Come on. You need to play fast. Magnus looking a bit calm, cool and composed there. Look at this. Bishop e6, knight e6, queen e7. And then there's queen e2. Somehow knight c7 check becomes a big threat. So he's kind of shaking his head there. Rudik down to 47 seconds. Oh my goodness. And well, he's not happy there. That's what happens many times when you face Magnus. You calculate a line, you want to go there, then Magnus sees something deeper than you, and then you're like, oh, I seem to have made a mistake. And Magnus there also surprised that his opponent isn't making moves. 23 seconds. Go for it, Rudik. Queen e5 check. Queen comes on e2, blocks the check. It's going to be traded. Bishop d6 played. But the thing is, now you're going to be a pawn down. He takes back with the knight. Knight takes d4. Knight takes. Pawn takes. And the trades are happening. Bishop e2. Count the number of pawns, guys. White has 6. Black has 5. And although Rudik has, well, stabilized this position, but not at all to his advantage. Bishop f5. And now, okay, d5 pawn is a bit weak. You are looking at it. But the knight defends it. The bishop is out. You want to get rook c8, rook c2, rook e8, rook e2. This can go wrong for Magnus, which is why he's taking his time. He goes bishop d3, a lovely move by Magnus, trading off the two bishops. And then bishop takes bishop can be met with knight takes. 10, 9, he goes bishop e4. And f3 played, forcing him to trade. Because if bishop f4, there's bishop fe4. He takes, knight takes, and now rook c8, wanting to get in here. But now can we go bishop f4 takes, knight f4? Then there's rook c2. Well, let's see what Magnus calculates. He goes for it. Takes, takes, and rook c4 played, attacking the pawn. You defend it. Rook doubles in here. Knight comes to d3. And rook c2. If you would have taken the pawn, there was knight e5 check, taking the rook. But rook c2, the rook looks active on the 7th rank. He goes pawn to g4. That's a very Magnus-like move. h5. Rudik is trying to create his counterplay. Pawn to h3. Beautiful move. Takes, pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn taken. And now next move, maybe rook f2 to trade a few pieces. He goes knight to d7. Rook f2 played. Excellent chess. And takes. King takes. King comes up. He brings his king up to f6. But now Magnus is a pawn up. And oh my goodness, that is brilliant technique by Magnus. Going into a knight endgame. He knows. And b3 dominating this knight. Knight a8. White knight comes up. Black knight tries to develop. The king comes to e3. And these are the endgames where Magnus is an absolute maestro. a4. The knight has to sit back there on the c7 square. And now jumping in with the knight to c5. He goes f4 first. g6. And now knight to c5. Attacking. b6 check. King e7. And, well, Magnus, well, you can bank on him to finish off these positions accurately. He is one of the best endgame players ever. g5. He first goes knight to c6, attacking the pawn here. Pawn to a5. And now knight jumps back to e5, attacking d7 and b pawn could hang. Takes, takes. Knight c6. Played again to attack the pawn on a5. And look at Rudik there. He's so unhappy. Takes the pawn. Check. King f3. Now he's 2 pawns down. And look at the focus with which Magnus is playing this endgame. It's like he's on an autopilot. And this game also is such a great representation of the margin of error that you have against Magnus Carlsen. It's like really small. That one chance he got out of the opening, he didn't take it to push his pawn to e5. And once you didn't do that, you're pawn down and Magnus is just all over you. He doesn't make a single error. Knight goes back to f3. Knight to e4. King e3. The knight jumps in. And it's time to push your queenside pawn. b4. Knight b5. The king comes to d3. And he's going the other way. He's going from b3, a4. Check. Knight f2. b5 played. Knight jumps into e5. And he's going to lose the g6 pawn as well. First fixing this weakness. And Rudik resigns. Magnus Carlsen wins. And what a nice win this was by Magnus. Really beautiful conversion. They say winning positions are only half things done. You have to win the winning positions. But for Magnus, well, this game won on its own. He managed to play some impeccable chess.